What's up, everyone? My name is Manuel Sensili. I'm a senior advocate at Unity, and you're watching the Post-GDC community stream. And I'm super excited today because we have 4 very special guests that you should know and love. And please welcome our amazing guests. We got Emily Peacher, aka Sundering Emily, Hugo Cardoso, aka Code Monkey, Jason Weeman, and Neil Jones. But before we get into some round of introduction, I would love to know where you're all joining us from. So please go in the chat. We are watching the chat, and I will be also picking up some questions for our guests. So don't hesitate to ask us questions, to comment. But before we go on, can we get a little hello from Jason? Jason, who are you?
Yeah, I'm a game developer, been making video games for 20-something years and using Unity since like version 3. Made a ton of VR stuff, mobile games and other stuff. And I got a YouTube channel to teach people how to make Unity games. So yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. You are an OG. You don't even need a presentation, but some people are maybe too recent in the channel, so it's good to know. Let's move on with, who did we say? Hugo? Hugo, you're next.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so hey, everyone. So hey, my name is Hugo, and I run the CodeMonkey YouTube channel, where I started making games with Unity like 10 years ago. I think it's been over. No, actually, it's been quite a lot longer. Yeah, it's like 2013. So yeah, it's been quite a long time. But anyway, so yeah, basically first started off just making my own games. And then like 8 years ago, I decided to try to share my knowledge with everyone. So basically I started a YouTube channel making mostly tutorials, teaching basically how to make games with Unity, programming in C# and those kinds of things. So yeah, it's been a fun, very long journey. Yeah.
We actually have a video, I think, of your YouTube channel. It's some real, let's play it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing tutorials for such a long time. I think I've gotten like 800 videos on my channel. Definitely been quite a long time, quite a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, we're about to talk about GDC. And one of the things that I love most about coming to these events is meeting all kinds of people in real life who told me, hey, I saw your tutorial many years ago and helped me get through college, find a job in the industry, something like that. I always love hearing those things. So yeah, it's been a very fun journey.
That's amazing. Next, we have Emily. How are you doing today, Emily?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good to have you.
I'm Emily. I'm from Los Angeles. I make videos under Sondering Emily, primarily on Instagram, but also TikTok and YouTube. And I make videos documenting my journey making a horror game, Lily's World XD, which we will talk about later this stream.
Actually, we do have a little highlights. Can we play your video? Wishlist on stream, Lily's World. For those that are in at Unite or seen the live stream from Unite, I think they're already aware. So we will be talking more about Emily's amazing game. Awesome, and next, last but not least, we have Neil Jones in the house.
What up, though? What up, though? Yeah, what's up? My name is Neil. I go by Aerial Knight Online. I'm the creator and developer of Aerial Knight games. We made Never Yield, We Never Yield, and most recently Aerial Knight's Drop Shot. I work out of Detroit. I started off as a solo dev, and now I have a small team, and we're just trying to make cool stuff using Unity and other apps.
Amazing. Thanks for being here, Neil. And we also, I think, have a trailer for your game, so let's watch it. Let's go across platforms. That's so cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. And before we move on, I just want to make sure everybody understand we are live right now, both on YouTube and Twitch. We are reading your comments. I see people from Alabama, from France, from Nigeria. Adam Smith is in the chat as well. Excited to be here. We had Adam on our live stream last week. If you missed it, it was filmed live from San Francisco from the Unity office. So you should actually go and check it out. Mr. Awesome saying Code Monkey be grinding out the content. We have Melissa in the chat. The Bull saying finger guns is amazing, probably referring to Neil's game. I see juice, very juicy indeed. Well, my friends, we're so excited to have you today. I have thousands of questions. I think the goal today, we call the stream community celebration because it's really about the people here watching us live and you on stage. And there's many other developers we couldn't have because there's a limited amount of cubes we can have on the screen. But I'll be asking you questions about your own experience at GDC, about your own journey, your career, what brought you here, and what's next for you. And we'll be trying to also answer some questions from the chat. But before we do so, I have a little marketing segment because today is a special day at Unity. We have 6.4 that just launched. So I just want everybody to know that now 6.4 is available. So building on the 6.3 LTS, it is a supported release that brings several new quality of life improvements and exciting new features such as Project Auditor built in, new multiplayer matchmaker features, and adaptive performance updates. So upgrading to Unity 6.4 makes it easier to stay current on Unity 6 while preparing your projects for future LTS releases. So officially available since I think 8 a.m. Pacific time. So it's about an hour out. It's really like you're hearing about it first here. And officially you can actually go in the documentation and learn more about it. So please go do so after the stream because right now we are with our friends. So let's start. I have a very simple question. How many GDC did you all attend? Let's start with Neil.
This one would make it my 10th. I've been going since like 2012. Yeah.
That's so cool. What about you, Emily?
Well, I was about to say I thought I had been a lot, but this is my 5th year. But I will make it my 6th year soon, next year.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I know Jason have done a lot. How many did you do, Jason?
Only one more than Emily, actually. There's only 5.
Okay, so yeah. What about you, Hugo?
Yeah, for me, this was only my 2nd time, but yeah, definitely always enjoyable. So definitely would like to go more.
Sweet. So I've done 2 as well. So we're the same,
Nice.
Hugo. That's awesome. So what would you say is one thing that stood out for all of you? Anyone that want to start?
You said 2 what?
What did stood out to you? Like what was
stood out.
something that stands out? Yeah.
The show floor was really small this year. I remember my first GDC,
I noticed that too.
Yeah, my first GDC, it was crazy. It was like booths everywhere from every studio and company you can think of. So it was a lot more limited this year.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Yeah, because as someone who's been going for 5 years, my first year, I do remember it being so many different games, so many different things, and it was very limited. Also, like I feel like it was very much like filled with AI startups, which was not a thing 5 years ago. But in terms of why I like going to GDC, in my normal life, of course, I have some game developer friends and also just some non-game developer friends. And I feel like at GDC, it's great because I meet people who all speak my language and all automatically get me, even if we haven't exchanged words yet.
That's a very good point. It's like about the community itself, the people that you meet that are going through the same struggles or the same discoveries, and you get to not have to explain to your mom what you're doing for a living, for example, in my case. I love that. What about you, Hugo? What was something that stood out to you?
Hey, it was great. I mean, I've only been twice, so yeah, compared to the other time that I was in, I think things were a little bit smaller, but still pretty great. I mean, even though there are fewer booths, all the ones that are there, those are all so unique, so different. And yeah, there are definitely quite a lot of AI tools, but also quite a lot of games. Like one of my favorite parts of GDC is always the out control section with so many strange games, so many unique games. Like there was one about running inside an inflatable airball. There was another one about slapping a guy or punching him. So yeah, that part is always so fascinating how people are so creative coming up with games with things that don't really involve just normal controller, just things that are very unique. So yeah, it's always amazing. Yeah.
Love that. We have Mr. Awesome in the chat saying 10. Wow. Talking to Neil.
Because I'm old. Yeah. So okay. Thanks. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Oh, you look so young though. Actually,
It's a black thing. Don't worry about it.
I feel like we don't look that off in age, in my opinion. I'm 26.
Just before we did this stream, we are talking about the new Scrubs season, and they're saying how the black actor didn't age compared to the rest of the cast. Neil is that person right now. Definitely have white hair compared to the last GDC. What about you, Jason? What's something that stood out?
I mean, really, it's funny that you said that, because it was the same thing. I felt like it just shrunk, and it's been continuously shrinking. It's not just this year. Last year was smaller than the year before. This year, I walked through the show floor, and then I said, okay, I'm going to go check the other side out. And then I realized that the whole other side was missing. I mean, it was like half the size of before. And it's definitely a little bit concerning for just kind of like the long-term health of GDC. I know the attendance, from what I'd heard, was kind of near record lows, and seems like everybody was just getting suites and hotels and doing all their business meetings there instead of having a big show floor presence. So I'm honestly like just a little bit concerned about what's going to happen with the future of GDC. I love going. It's a blast. Like talking to all the people is great. And the fact that they shrunk it down made it feel not completely dead, because like there were less people, but it was a tighter area. But I really hope that it kind of gets revitalized next year and grows a bit more. That said, there was a lot of interesting stuff still, though. Lots of, like it was mentioned, some AI stuff, which was actually a big hit. And I noticed that AI was kind of in just about everything. It wasn't so generic where everybody was just like a random general AI thing, but almost every like big company or even medium-sized company had some AI related stuff in there, whether it was like AI game generation or AI in motion tracking, being used for that type of stuff, or all kinds of other things. And then a couple, I think, pretty interesting AI companies that a lot of the big studios I was talking to were really interested in. And, it sounded like people working out lots of good deals. And I don't know, the AI stuff, I think is a big takeaway.
Definitely more presence than last year. I agree, and it was also more prominent. And I agree with you. I think it's better that it is maybe smaller with more people than if they kept it huge with less people. It would have been a bit weird. A huge portion, I think, for me was because I was also there on site with my colleague Trey and the social team. Shout out to Jazz and James, by the way. And we went and tried to film a lot of footage. So actually, Jack, if you could maybe play the video while we talk over it. I'll show the people a little bit of what GDC felt like. So we started the first day. I think we arrived on the Monday at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. And you can feel like the energy. People are trying to pick up their badge at the beginning and, just like welcoming people inside of the West Hall. So many companies, with their booth, like they said. But still, in terms of the amount of people, it's true that it was actually a bit smaller. We don't want an E3, right? Like for me, like my hope is that GDC continues to exist, because it's one of those big moments that even though the event itself felt smaller, I didn't feel like the community shrunk. If anything, there was even more people at auxiliary event. You'll see some content. This is Adam Smith from Unity that did a talk, I think, with Google Cloud, presented by Google Cloud on day one, which was really cool. Full house, overflowing room. I think there was about 600 more people, 600 plus people indeed. That is the same building. Now we're going down and trying to go to the next event. And things were really packed in terms of the amount of different events also that happened. Unity had a bunch of daily talks. So this is one of them that we hosted. This, I believe, Neil, you attended, right? The Indie celebration.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
What was the best part for you about this one?
Me and Zalavier, we was rolling together from another event, and we were almost late. We couldn't find an Uber. Ubers kept canceling on us, so we finally got one, and we was like, go. It was like the beginning of Fresh Prince. We just jumped in and was like, yeah, step on the gas.
I agree. Oh, people in the chat saying their age because they're comparing, I think, how old they are. Mr. Awesome saying, what was the game that no one really knows about, but you think they will be big? Interesting question. I think the game Neil is working on, people should know about.
Oh well, yeah, Drop Shot's out, but the secret stuff isn't out yet. But it's funny how people think a lot of game developers go to GDC and play games. I don't know many people who actually get to play a lot of games
Yeah.
when they go to GDC.
So I did actually. That event is the SF Game Development. It's a huge community. I think they had over 1,400 people registering for that event. That was, I believe, the Tuesday evening. Unity try to sponsor it every year, so that's why we have our logo there. But outside of the sponsoring part and outside of the name, I see more people there and more developers than at any event that I've done in my career. And what is super cool is that people come with their laptop, their game controllers, and they just put their game out there. Sometimes those developers is the first time that they show their game to anyone. So they get like live, reaction and live feedback from people playing their game. But it's also a party, so you have like all those crazy lighting.
Yeah.
Music is pretty loud. Actually, that's probably the only thing that I would tone down is the music, because you want to talk to people and it's really loud. But the vibe is there, right? Another thing that happens during that event is the talks. So the advocacy team at Unity actually goes into that small room that you see right there. And if you pan a little bit on the left, you have a podium. And so that is Corey, which is from the advocacy team, doing an amazing job presenting the profiler update from Unity. And what's cool is that it's it's a little bit in parallel to the party. So you get to actually have good audio. This is Mark from the advocacy team on the show floor, showcasing some of our game cards and also presenting some of our updates on the editor. This is a bit more game. Actually, that game was awesome. There was a lot of really cool game being presented. Not all the games are made with Unity because there's a lot of different companies. So it's also cool to see and compare between developers playing with different engines. You can see the stack of cards on the Unity table over there. We're giving out some cards. We did the same at Unite as well. This is Esteban from the advocacy team. He was doing a third-person multiplayer demo about the sample that's now available on Unity. And then the next day, for those that watched the live stream last week, was in the office. So you can see some behind the scenes of what the San Francisco Unity, which is our new office, we moved to a new office, looks like. Got some muffins before we started the day. And basically the whole IT team came together and helped us put together a booth so that we can actually do the live stream. Jack saying, thank you for calling out for the muffins. I need to. Like, the muffins was my lifeline that day. So shout out to the IT team, Jean-Michel, Thomas, Mike, everybody from Jenner, like everybody that actually helped out putting this together so we can do the live stream from the office. And then, so that was a Thursday. On the afternoon, we wanted to go and check out the show floor. So I think this is what you guys mostly talked about earlier, right? Like the fact that this area was a little bit smaller. Still a lot of people and a lot of companies, but it's true. Most of them were AI related or, related to actually what is the current market. A lot of demonstration on locomotion, haptics, XR. We had our partner like Meta, Xbox, and so on. My favorite part, similar to Hugo, is the alt control, where you can see all of the weird controllers. I think there was one where someone was playing with giant scissors.
Yeah.
You had a giant toothbrush and you have to brush some teeth or something. That was fun. Yeah, you see a little bit more here, the Google Cloud booth. Another thing that's really good that I think initially was supposed to be a different area, but now that I think they combined it because it was a bit smaller, was the indie celebration from around the world. So here you're seeing, for example, games from we had the people at Peak, I think, from Germany showcasing Peak. There you go, that's Peak right there. And so I really enjoyed that they kept that part, because that really shows how game development shines throughout the world in different culture, and how different games from different countries kind of show up and show their culture through the game. I really enjoyed that they kept that. This is Brazil. They had shiny yellow and green lights, Brazil games. Also, many universities, many people from different universities showcasing their games, which was fun as well. So yeah, we really walked around with Trey and tried to capture as much as we could, different type of content, helped also by the social team, Jazz and James. And then we put together this kind of very small video just to show you. Oh, that was fun. So people were boxing in a ring wearing our headset, but they were separated so that they actually don't hit each other. So you can actually see them fighting shadow boxing in the air, but in the game they're fighting each other.
Did you try it?
I could not. There was a huge lineup actually, but I did try some of the thing you're watching right now. So those are the alt controller. There you go. The toothbrush.
Yeah, that tower defense one was amazing too. The one that you just showed a second ago.
Oh, yeah,
that one was really cool. The projection thing. Yeah, that one blew me away.
I love that. Yeah, also a lot of representation from universities and students. I think this is where you see the most amount of innovation because they're not afraid of trying things outside of the box. And maybe that's kind of a message that I have also from the gaming community. Like, sure, those events are, changing and adapting to the market and reducing, but the amount of games that I've heard about and that came out, I think is more than what I've saw. And I've only been to 2, right? So I cannot really speak about that, but there was just an increasing amount of game made by indie developer as opposed to big studios. And that's beautiful to see that people can actually continue to invest in that, in their dream. This was a section from PlayStation. This is Austria. They had pretty cool stand as well. And there you go. You can see a bunch of universities there and studios also coming from universities. This one's from Samford University. So all in all, it's still the Moscone Center that they just had to redistribute. So that area used to be the international event before, but they kept it as more of a lounge, I think. And that's about it. So I have a couple more questions, and I still see people also in the chat asking, boxing, what could go wrong? Indeed. Surprisingly, when I went there, someone was about to fight with someone else. I think that something went wrong. They maybe threw hands the wrong way, and the controller was about to hit their face. So they avoided that by a couple millimeters. So I had a question for you guys. So outside of the takeaway and, of course, like how it went, what do you think surprised you the most this year? Was there an announcement in particular or something from a company that was shared that really made you think, oh, wow, that's surprising?
For me, my main goal with going there was mostly for learning about VR development. So yeah, for me, it was quite interesting, quite educational to see how the VR tools have gotten quite a lot better. Because I remember just trying it just a tiny bit, like, I don't know, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and it was insanely complex. So it was really great now to see how it's actually surprisingly, or it seems surprisingly easy. I still haven't done much research since I got back home, but from the few talks that I saw, it seems that VR is actually quite a lot more approachable nowadays. So yeah, that was one of my surprises, just because I hadn't followed VR development in quite a while, and it does seem to be very approachable. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to researching that some more, doing some tutorials on that, because it does seem to be quite a lot easier.
I love that. I also saw some cool crossover between companies. Some of our partners, like at Meta, Dilmer, which is a Unity insider, also works at Meta and do cool indies content. So it was nice to see that they also had events with the insiders locally. I think there was some hackathons also at, I forgot the name. There's a lab in San Francisco where people do a hackathon every year. And a lot of people came in and try to do also XR with AI and see how can change the interpretation of games in the future. One thing that I heard about but I could not attend was Emily's talk. Can you talk to her a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was actually about to say it because I will say I don't know if there was anything particularly surprising this year about GDC. I think it kind of panned out how I expected. But the first thing that the new thing I did this year was give a talk. I actually gave 2 talks. My first talk was about design and marketing in games. It was called Influencing Fandom, how to make a game that markets itself. And then the second talk was actually a panel with me, the developer Peak, Nick, Juniper Dev, the YouTuber, and then O&O Co. And it was actually a panel about content creation in games. And both actually went so much better than I expected. The first talk that I did, they booked me in the really big room. And then apparently so many people came that the volunteers told me after that they had to stop letting people in because the room had filled capacity. So that was really exciting. And then the second panel, they had it on the expo show floor, but they did not anticipate the popularity of the talk. So then most of the attendees had to stand the entirety of it. I felt bad for them, but I was also very happy that so many people came. And I think it's really cool because the first year I went to GDC, I had just graduated college. I was a nobody. I hadn't really worked in anything prominent, and I was just kind of like your regular attendee. And now 5 years later, the fact that I can come back as a speaker is really gratifying. And I think shows, my career growth throughout the years.
Absolutely. And in terms of community, did you meet people that actually know you also on stage? I see people in the chat saying, Emily, did that happen to you in person as well?
Yeah, and that's also very interesting because I feel like the first year I would meet my favorite developers and then fangirl a little bit. And now I walk around GDC and people will come up to me, introduce themselves, and talk about their game. So I feel like networking is easier than ever because I just walk around and then they come to me.
Was there a moment where you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone, I want to sleep, or I want a coffee first?
I don't think so, because like in my normal life, people don't come up to me very much. This is like the one time a year where I know people will come up to me. So actually, I feel like I'm very excited. I know you were talking earlier about the section of GDC that has booths from different countries. So actually, I was walking on the streets and someone stopped me and went, oh my God, like, I really like your videos. And we're in the India section of GDC. So afterwards, I went to that section, met up with them, and I got to try their game. I think also one thing that's very cool is that my audience is full of makers, developers, artists. So not only do they enjoy learning about my projects, but then I get to learn about their projects when we meet in real life.
I love that. So basically, you would say that knowing that this is a moment where you have to be high energy, extroverted, you kind of prepped for it, knowing that it will happen. But it's just for a week. Then you get to go home, maybe not unpack your luggage for a few days, and just like stay in your room.
No, see, after GDC, I thought I was going to be so tired that I was like rest. But after GDC, if anything, I was like, I haven't worked on my game in a week. So I'm not even joking. Like 9 a.m. the next day after GDC, I booted up Unity and started fixing bugs in my game. But I think it's because like, GDC gave me that energy, that drive to keep pushing and making my game.
I like that. So you would say it's still something valuable that you like to attend because that energy, that community feeling.
Yeah, I love GDC, and I really hope it doesn't become like E3.
Yeah,
I really do enjoy this event.
We need those type of moments, at least as a point of reunion for people that are part of that industry. I agree. What about you, Neil? I know we talked a little bit before about like prepping for those type of events. Like, what was your routine going into this?
Routine for GDC. I try to have prototypes ready. I was kind of the opposite of Emily. I kind of like stay low key, do my meetings. I've been going so long. I kind of know the general crowd who's going to go, and I have my pitch decks ready. GDC moved up this year, so it was a little bit earlier. It kind of messed up my normal schedule, so I had to kind of rush things through.
Oh, right. It was a bit early in the year than usually.
Yeah, normally it's at the end of the month rather than the beginning of the month. So that kind of threw me off. But, my general kind of flow is just to kind of make sure I'm putting together a prototype, having something to kind of show either publicly or behind the scenes. I like to go to GDC with some kind of purpose, as well as just kind of reconnecting with the people I email with throughout the year, just so I can kind of meet these people behind the emails. And I relax a lot more than I used to during GDC. I kind of just treat it a little bit as a work vacation, if you want to put it like that.
That's exactly what you mean. What would you say was the most valuable conversations you had all week?
I hung out a lot with the Xbox folks this GDC, so that was pretty interesting. I can't even say too much about it, but it was dope. It was dope.
I love that. What about you, Jason?
So yeah, I mean, there were really a lot of things that kind of surprised me, but I wanted to just call out a couple. First was Emily's talk, because I sent her a message afterwards. It was great. It was one of the best GDC talks I've seen in a very long time. Like, it was really well done, explained exactly how she's doing a great job being really successful with her game and Instagram. And I was telling her, she's one of the few people I follow on Instagram that actually posts stuff regularly. So I see her stuff all the time, and it's always good. And then the talk was just, I mean, is it really your first GDC talk?
Yeah, I've never talked before. I mean, I've spoken, but not at GDC.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, anybody who has access to go watch it should go watch it, and anybody that's making the game should just go buy the access and watch it. I think it was great. The other two things that stood out, one was there was a game, I think you kind of scrolled past it in the video. It kind of looked like Castle Crashers, but luchadors, like Mexican wrestlers versus cartel guys that were battling. And it plays a lot like Castle Crashers. But it was interesting because the entire thing was done by like artists and sound guys with no programmers and just AI code doing the entire development, which I thought was really kind of a surprise and probably something we're going to see a lot more of in the future. Like it's just, they used Bezi that works with Unity to just generate all the code, generate the entire thing with very little understanding of actual code. I thought that was cool because it seemed like a real full game that's probably going to make it to release and actually go out. It's definitely a big shift in, I think, the whole ecosystem. And then the last thing,
barrier of entry, you would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, you don't necessarily need. They've proven that you don't need a programmer, right? They're doing it without a programmer. They're making a game. It was fun. It played like Castle Crashers. Had the visuals and all the other stuff that you need. Just the code wasn't done by a human. And the last thing was that I always enter all the raffles and stuff when I go, and ended up winning a PS5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Congratulations.
I enter everything, especially the ones where you have to be there to win. Like they're great. I think I might have lost out on winning a TV too because I walked away for a minute. There were only like 5 people there to win it, so yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so that's actually a good tip. So lower audience.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be maybe one person will come in and join the competition. That's okay. Yeah, it's always great. I always enter everything and try to win and see. This time it was a PS5, which was nice.
I love that. Okay, so now I have a question for you all. What was your favorite non-GDC moment? Like maybe outside of the main events or something that happened behind the scenes?
Can I start there? Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying for me, one of my favorite things was just the Unity did an event with Chris Sikowski talking about indie game development and so on. And for me, it was really nice to finally meet him because I've been reading his blog posts, his marketing stuff for like 6 years now, and I've even done a few videos with him, but I had never actually met him in real life. So yeah, it was awesome. After his talk, I just went up to him, said hi, and yeah, that was quite nice. So that's definitely an example of something that can only happen if you're there physically. Because I already knew him digitally, but I had never met him physically. So that was a fun moment for me. Yeah,
it's true that you can see a lot of people that usually you might never have a chance to stumble upon in real life, and they're very approachable. They're they say never meet your idols, but in this case, it's actually pretty cool to be able to do that. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, I was about to say that this GDC again. Comparing it to my first year is so different because my first year I didn't know anyone. I was kind of like signing up to all those GDC after parties. But then this year, people invited me to things, which made my planning much easier. I would say like one of my highlights was I did get dinner with the Unity team and Zalavier. Super awesome to catch up. Also on Friday, I got like a group lunch with my friend Remy, who made 1,000 Times Resist, Amy, who's at Innerslot, did Among Us, Jared used to work at Devolver, and then Jeremy, who's working on a really cool game called Am I Nima? And like it's so awesome being able to, I guess, level up and be able to have lunch with so many of my now peers, but once I would say I looked up to them. Yeah, just like I would say like these like intimate dinners where we got to just like talk openly. It was super, super fun.
That's nice. So you're able to be yourself, but also learn from that growth that you've had personally, and like connect with people on a different level this time.
Yeah, because I feel like the parties, I also don't enjoy drinking. So it's usually like super loud music, alcohol. It's not really my vibe, especially because I'm at GDC. I want to talk about games. I'm not really in a party mood. So I think, getting invited to all these different meals and having more intimate chats was really nice this year.
Food over alcohol anytime. I also had 0 drink during that week, but I had a lot of food.
I also had a lot of food.
Yeah.
What about you, Neil? What would you say was your favorite non-GDC moment?
Oh, I don't get invited to dinners like those. Yeah.
Next year.
We tried. I remember you asked. I was like, me neither.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. But yeah,
next year, please invite Niels to dinners, people.
No. Um, but no, yeah, I was just kind of focused on my current game being out, my next game coming up. So I was there for a week. It's the one time I kind of like leave Detroit really to kind of promote that kind of stuff and try to set up my work stuff for the next year. Just kind of focus on being successful. There's a lot of stuff you can do outside of GDC. There's a lot of people who go without getting GDC pass. There a lot of the people who used to be on the show floor have offsite buildings and networking spaces. So I spent my time just in those kind of spaces, as well as kind of hang with people I been going to GDC with for the last however many years and just catching up with folks.
You have your
so
crew.
That's always cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool that and is it like a moment where some people you don't see them besides that moment? It's like that one time you get to hang with them?
Yeah, I tell people, I'm in Detroit most of the year. I rarely leave, so this is my excuse to go out. So that's one of the big reasons I think GDC, I hope, still exists and can get back to that growth it used to have. I think it's just going through a thing right now. Everybody's going through a thing right now. So hopefully we get past it.
I love that. What about Jason?
Not really any different. I mean, it's just meeting all the people, talking to people, talking to studio heads about the stuff that they're working on and the things that they're doing, and some of the people running some of the companies on some of the tools I'm using. It's a lot of fun to just catch up with them. I guess the one unique thing was that I actually ran into and met a couple Unity employees that are way more into shoes than I am, which was fun. Apparently some have insane collections of them. So it sounded cool. I don't know. I have a shoe problem. But yeah, it was mostly just talking to people that I knew, and then some people that I just met, hanging out, going to lunches and dinners. Definitely recommend that. And having a nice packed schedule helps a lot. It's so much better than trying to figure out what to do. I spend a lot of time just trying to figure out when to leave things early to go to the next thing. So.
Yeah, planning ahead is definitely helpful. There was a website, I don't remember who put it together, but that had a list of every single event you could attend and every single talk. Of course, the GDC themselves, they have their agenda for those that have a pass, but I was surprised also to see that there was almost something to do every single hour, every single day outside of GDC. And like you mentioned,
you definitely
earlier,
can't see everything. So yeah,
you can't. You have to choose. Yeah.
Like for example, I had to go to an event, so I missed Emily's talk. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it on GDC Phone, hopefully. Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to give you a chance to also talk about the project you're all working on. So Hugo, maybe you want to start. Is there something exciting you have in the pipeline that you want to share?
Oh, for me, it's always so many things. That's kind of the problem, quote unquote, of going to these events. I talk to so many interesting people. I see so many interesting things that, yeah, basically whenever I come back home with a giant to-do list of things to research, things to study, things to do videos on. So yeah, I've been going through a bunch of them. Like I said, I was mainly there to research about VR. So yeah, that's part of the thing that I'm currently researching right now. So I tend to talk about the state of the VR ecosystem. And that was quite interesting, trying to get an overview of how things are nowadays and how technically it's still a niche industry, but it's growing decently. And apparently the assumption for the future is to grow quite a bit more, to go a bit more mainstream. So I think that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, in technical terms, yeah, now I want to research those tools, try and make some tutorials on how to do VR development. Then, yeah, of course, a bunch of interesting tools like Unity AI just mentioned some things. I also tend to talk on Unity AI where they were showcasing some things. So that's another thing that I got on my to-do list to go do some research, try to see is the tool generally helpful. So I got to cover that and a bunch more things that I saw in many booths. So yeah, there's no one single thing. There's just essentially in theory, to-do list should get shorter as you do things, but it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so I can never quite catch up. But yeah, so
I think I discovered that through you actually in some of your early videos where you get interested into the concept of game development, then you learn the first few things, and then it's kind of like a tree that branches out every time you unlock a new nodes, new skill tree unlock, and now it's like 6,000 new things.
There's always more things to do, more things to learn. So it's a never-ending industry. It is.
And it's beautiful that you can also approach it from a different angle. Like there are people that might just want to learn one single aspect of it and be a team member, part of a crew that just do one thing. And other people might be more curious and excited about everything. Yeah. And if you have that profile right now, it's definitely an exciting time to be diving into all of these different aspects. So it's good to hear. Um, Emily, would you be able to talk a little bit more about what has changed since Unite? Because we had you on the show talking about your game. Now it's almost 6 months later. What would you say is your journey so far, and what has happened since then?
Yeah, so for a little bit of context, I'm making a game called Lily's World XD. It's a horror game about investigating a young girl's lost computer. It's set in the early 2000s, so you do things like go on her AIM, I should say, my own version of AIM, my own version of MySpace. You read her old journal, you go through her social media, you look through her photos, but then everything seems normal until you start finding messages addressed to you, and you start discovering more of her dark past, and then you have to find out what happened to her. So as of this point, I'm actually really close to finishing like a first run through of everything in the game. As in, like, 6 months ago, I had my game design doc and I was still building out. But actually, I think by the end of this month, I will have everything in my game, at least to my initial vision, built, which is very exciting. So currently, I'm actually having qualitative playtesters for the first time ever, people who are going to run through and tell me their thoughts, because before I've had playtesters, but they've mostly playtested for just bugs. So it's actually like a pretty exciting point of my development, because I'm really seeing it all come together. And then I think my next step is to, evaluate what's working, what's not, maybe add more content, and then get into the polish stage of my game, which again is just crazy for me. This is the first game I've worked on mostly solo. I do have a couple contractors helping me, but my last game was like a big team. We would have team meetings versus now I'm really the one steering the ship. And I'm actually just really happy and proud of myself that I've even gotten to this point, because, a year and a half ago, I'd never coded in my life. I didn't even know if it was possible for me to make this game. And now, like, I'm at the point where, like, 100% it's going to come out. I have a publisher. I'm legally obligated to release this game.
That's fantastic. And I guess that's also a huge change from, solo development to actually even learning to delegate. For some people, it's really hard to even think about the task that they have to do in a way that they can, trust someone else to be able to work on that while they do something else. So, like, maybe you can share a little bit from like a development perspective as a solo dev, like growing into more of a leader of a team, let's say, with your contractors. And so, like, what was the biggest learning curve for you?
Well, actually, I will say that it was shockingly easier than I expected, because when I worked in a team, I would have someone do all the programming, and I'd think to myself, oh my God, like, programming's so hard. I have a more artistic mind. I can't do that technical side. And I thought that it would be faster because you have people who are masters of their discipline working on it. For example, a real programmer, I guess, who went to college is going to be better than my programming skills. But shockingly, the thing that I realized through solo development is that it's actually faster, because even though you're doing so much more of the work by yourself, there isn't that layer of approval. So, for example, for the main character of my last game that I worked on with a big team, we made like 60 iterations of the main character design, and we would have these long meetings, hours and hours of meetings discussing what that final iteration should be. People have different opinions, versus now it's just like, Emily, do you like that? Yeah. Okay. That was literally a 5-second conversation I had with myself. So it's actually much easier. And even though it is more disciplines, I actually think it's better, because for me, I get bored really easily. And so let's say I'm tired of programming, I can move on to art, and then I can move on to design. And so it actually keeps it very interesting for me, because I will just, do
switch
the different disciplines and switch hats, which always keeps it interesting, makes me excited to want to work every day. And I also think that it allows me to pursue a more unified creative vision, because I have it all worked out in my head and I just kind of have to make it a reality. There are a lot of pros to working in a team, I will say, but I will say, like, I've actually enjoyed solo development way more than I expected. And I think I'm going to carry on this type of development in my future games too.
That's amazing. Oh, by the way, we have Philip Elliott in the chat. So hello, Philip. Philip, which takes care of our insiders very well and is always working so hard. So a little seconds of appreciation. And he also shouted out Binary Impact, which is the company that does the Unity trading card games that we were giving out at GDC. And if you're attending any Unity-related talk or event from the advocacy team, they always have a pack or two in their bag. So always ask for them because you might get some of those goodies. That's fantastic, Emily. I really love hearing your story, and I hope that everything that you're putting there is going to be successful. I mean, you already have your community supporting you. I have no doubt that it will be great. And one thing that I personally love about your game is the art style and the fact that there is this kind of operating system / horror. I don't think those two genera have been combined ever in the past, or if it has been, it's something that's really niche and rare. So it's also really cool to see. So I can't wait to play it myself personally.
Oh, thank you so much.
Can I ask how many wish lists does the game currently have?
It's like 65,000.
Awesome. That's a huge amount. So yeah, congratulations. Nice.
Thank you.
That's actually Jack was saying operating system plus horror is Windows Millennium. Oh my god.
What's crazy is, okay, so the game is inspired by Windows XP, Windows 99, and Windows, the like official Microsoft Windows account, has commented saying, "Can't wait for this game."
No way.
Really?
I thought that was pretty fun.
The marketing teams are unhinged in 2026. The people running those channels are doing the most. I love it. Neil, what about you? Like, I want to hear about the backstory that led you to today and what's next for you.
Oh man,
We have 2 hours.
So I started off with my first game, Never Yield, which much like Emily, I solo developed that. I was about to turn 30, and I was like, man, I better do something or not, So I gave myself a time limit of 1 year to kind of make Never Yield. And I said, if people like it, I'll keep making stuff, and hopefully they like it. So after about 8 months, I kind of just put something out there. It got into the Nintendo World Showcase. It had 10 million views and lots of stress. So people liked it. So I kept making it. It came out. People enjoyed it. We worked on a sequel that did okay. That was kind of like what Emily mentioned a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of crossover where I worked with a bigger team. It didn't really work out the best because, is kind of my vision, but a lot of people's input, but that's a really specific style and this really specific story. Moving on to Drop Shot, where I started off just making it myself, and then added 2 or 3 of my friends now, and we're all just we kind of just wrapped it up together, and it was like this big tribute to one of our other friends, and it was just a really dope experience. It's kind of like,
did you have your
kind of
Patreon set up at the very beginning and like working with the community like that, or was it something that came out later, for example?
I forgot about that. Thank you. So when we started Drop Shot, I worked on 3 prototypes that I took to GDC last year, and as well as starting up a Patreon. And we put it up there to see what people liked the most. And Drop Shot by far was everyone's favorite. So we were like, we're going to work on this for 1 year, see how it goes. And while we were developing the game, we did it hand in hand with our Discord community / Patreon. And they gave us direct feedback on what we should work on, what they liked, what they didn't like. And we try to develop with gamers rather than just kind of guess and see what they liked and find out at the end. And it went pretty well. Keeping people's attention for a year is really hard. So that was a little bit different. But we're getting used to it. It's a new type of, thing to kind of build your community around and just like keep your community. And I did it without a publisher. And we launched on multiple platforms all at the same time. We launched into Game Pass day 1. It was a lot for 1 year and kind of one, super duper small team.
Well, I was going to say this game, like I'm on the Steam page for it. It looks so good. To hear that it's only you and a couple of friends, I'm extremely impressed.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 50 levels. That means each level had a intro cutscene and an exit cutscene. So that's 100 and over 100 cutscenes that we had to do. It was ridiculous.
God, the amount of detail.
Prefabs saved the day.
I love that. Let's move on to Jason. Jason, you are an OG. Like I said earlier, you don't need any introduction, but maybe for those who don't know you, like what got you into game development and where do you see the future now after all of these years?
Oh, that's first, before I answer that, I just want to say that the whole thing on having a single person decide on what happens in games is probably one of the biggest things that needs to happen to prevent games from dying, because that's what kills a ton of games or makes them terrible, is they end up with a committee of people that disagree and they kind of make the the worst of all worlds. They put it all together and it just ends up bad. Or you have one person that's in charge and a team of people underneath that don't do what that person wants because they have a different vision. So having a strong vision and somebody that kind of really heavily pushing that is super important. But to answer your question on where I got started in games, it was literally, I only had 3 games and I couldn't buy any because I was a kid. So I wanted to make a game so I could have more stuff to play. I had a Commodore 64, and when you opened that thing up, when you booted it up, it literally booted to a development environment where you could just start writing code and run it. So I just started doing that, got little random magazines and that had code in there that I didn't understand at all, and copied those in, made a couple little games, and realized I could just make computers do whatever I wanted them to do. From there, just to kind of continued on with wanting to make games, and stumbled into the game industry by being a video game addict. For the future, though, honestly, like I think this AI stuff is going to have a massive impact. Like as far as things I'm heavily looking into, a lot of it is just around AI code generation, AI tooling and stuff. I think that it's going to speed things up kind of a lot like game engines did when game engines became available, when Epic released Unreal and the Quake engine came out and all the other stuff. When those engines came out, building games became a lot easier. And now with the constant engine development that's out, it's drastically easier. I think it's going to be just kind of another step like that, where it's going to open it up to a lot more people, and the number of people that can actually create a game is going to skyrocket, and it's going to come down to a lot more on the design and making things that are fun and interesting. It's going to be easier to do than ever. That's my kind of expectation for the future. I make bad predictions all the time, so who knows?
But it's good because you can always like fine tune them as like new technology arrives. But I think you're right. And even just from my personal vicinity, like the people that I know, like I have friends, cousins, people that have never been interested in tech, or that seen computer science as something that's too complicated or not for them, or simply maybe they're from a country like me where we don't have the university and you might not have the mean to move to another country to learn about it. And now they get to learn online. I mean, there is already Google and YouTube with all the content, but being able to like create your own assistant in the sense as a teacher, or using tools that might seem daunting to tap into, but now you have this kind of hand that can help you out, is beautiful. And I see my little cousin now, they're like 10 years old. Like, sure, one of my first games was also when I was 10 years old. But seeing them in their world, being able to like send me a link and it's like, hey, can you try this game? I just worked on it this weekend. And it's just amazing to see that it gives them something to be excited about that is not, that is teaching them actual skills that can be useful in their career or in the future. And just the excitement for the gaming industry, because they see people like you guys building games as solo developer or smaller team, and seeing that as something that's possible, and they don't need to necessarily join a company to do it, and to be able to start from scratch and have a little prototype and do something on their own first, allow you to then build your community and maybe have the support of people that get to try your game first before. So I find that very nice, that this is also a good positivity that comes from those new technology.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, positivity is cool and all, but I don't think it's going to play out like that. I think for a learning tool, it's going to be really useful, but I don't think the whole AI. It just gives me flashbacks of blockchain and all these other fads that came beforehand that said, "Oh, we're going to change the whole game industry." It happens every couple of years. I think it's very useful in some cases, but I don't see it like kind of replacing
everything.
Yeah, because there are certain things, especially when it comes to like just kind of code bases and interconnection of how mechanics work and testing and all these things, that I don't think is really duplicatable right this second. Maybe eventually, but I think we're far off from that.
And I agree. And I don't think we should. I think there are parts of the process that should remain human, or at least human overlooked. Like you mentioned right now, QA for me is so important. Being able to review your code before you submit it. the artistic part, which I think is deeply human. Like even your game, Neil, like there's a cultural aspect to it. It's not just a game that anyone could make. It comes with your background, it comes with your stories. And if we were to just automate everything and every single aspect, then what are we even there for? To me, like gaming is an art form, so it should remain human made and human controlled.
Well, I mean more of the sense that I don't think it's likely that we'll be able to replicate it, because the humans don't write good code, and we're copying off of humans who already write bad code. And when you have to edit the code to make it work, like this system has to work with this other system. You could generate those two scripts, but they might not work together. And then telling the AI specifically what to do to make those things connect. You have to have some kind of knowledge to kind of hook those things up. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that like it's a lot bigger hurdle. And a lot of times when we have these conversations, we kind of wash all of the difficulties away, or all the extra steps that you would have to know to kind of get things to work.
I see what you mean. And I think it's important to be true about the capabilities. Like, of course, there's a lot of hype, I think, in anything that's new and exciting. And you're right. Like, we still need to set the record straight so people don't forget that there's still steps towards that. It's a vision. It's something that it's aiming towards, but it's not going to be just tomorrow. There's still a lot of things that needs to be done and implemented before it's fully there. Another part that personally I think AI is fantastic for, we've seen a demo from Corey actually at the event I was showing earlier with the profiler. For me, this is a perfect use case, like being able to optimize your game, things that people don't even know how to do sometimes, and having recommendations in the editor that can help you out for that part. This is what I want to see more of. I want to see skills. I want to see MCP. The AI gateway that Unity is releasing is something people have been asking for at least since the beginning 2 or 3 years ago. And finally seeing those updates being out in a way that makes sense is super exciting to me. And I'm not saying that as an employee. I'm really saying that from a perspective of a designer that want to make games one day. Because that's what was blocking me before. So I'm excited to see this kind of combination of human and AI where it makes sense. And the place where we don't need it, well, it's fine. We don't have to use it. And it's optional anyway. So the people that still want to make their game fully by hand, they still can. And that's also beautiful because it's still a craft. It's still an art craft to me.
Sure. Yeah, I think pushing the bounds, people are still going to be doing a lot of more custom stuff. But some of these simple things, like I said, that Castle Crashers clone game, 2 guys and AI doing the code, and it works. It gets the job done. Seems good. I feel like that we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. And on the testing, it's interesting you mentioned that. One of the AI companies, they had a tiny, tiny booth. But I talked to a lot of people who were really interested in them at some big companies. And it was this new.ai that does test automation. So just do AI test automation. You upload your Android or iOS file, and then it runs through and creates the test by going through, from what I've been able to get out of it so far, it's kind of going through standard stuff that most mobile games will have, figuring out if menus work, building up tests for all of the kind of core stuff. And it sounds like it's not, like I said, not all the way there. It's not going to replace all of your QA, but it will do a massive, like, wide spread of testing, and then you can train it in to get down to just the stuff that actually matters and getting rid of all the things that aren't actually bugs. So I think that like long term, there's going to be a lot more. It's going to keep growing, whether we like it or not. Like, I feel like it's also a lot different from blockchain stuff too. Because I feel like with blockchain, it was trying to solve, it was like just a solution without really a problem. With AI code generation, well, with the code generation side specifically, the main problem is just developer bandwidth that it's solving. So people that don't have developers available, or don't have enough developers available, or developers that don't have enough time, they can use AI to speed things up, kick stuff off while they're working on other things. Something I kind of regularly do, have it just generate tools for me while I'm working on other things. But it also just will open up for all those people that just have zero. They got no developers at all. It's going to be able to let you start building stuff. And then over time, it's going to get better and better and better. And as it gets integrated into all of these systems like Roblox and Tencent's got a whole thing they're doing, and a lot of other companies, as they kind of get integrated in, you're going to see a lot more of it just being like in people's actual platforms where the game generation is done by AI. And Meta has the same thing with Meta Horizons, right? You just tell it what you want and it will generate environments and code and everything else. So I think we're going to have a lot more of that. It's not going to completely replace developers, of course, at least not anytime soon.
I hope so.
But
That's not my desire.
But
Plus,
I think
you
it'll
need
push
that,
more, like
you
you said,
said,
towards
human
design.
overlay. Absolutely. Actually, I had a question. Famous last words.
I said I'm bad at predictions, so maybe we're all dead. We're all gone.
From conversations you had at GDC, do you feel like people were optimistic toward the industry of gaming, not in terms of the industry itself, but in terms of their own career and what they're doing to continue on that front? Or did you feel people more cautious? Jason, maybe just since you just spoke.
I think people were generally pretty optimistic, but I think that's self-selection of people that were employed and able to go to GDC. I think that the people that are having a hard time with the industry probably didn't really attend very much. I talked about, like, I think 2 people that were a little bit concerned and considering looking for jobs and stuff. But and I know the industry is not perfect for that right now, but everybody seemed relatively positive about it that I talked to, at least.
What about you, Hugo?
Yeah, for me, same thing. But yeah, like Jason said, yeah, it's very much self-selection. So the kind of people that go to GDC are probably not having issues finding a job, which is a lot of people nowadays. But yeah, everybody that I spoke to, everybody was really excited about things in the future, about continuing to learn, continuing to make games. So yeah, there's always pros and cons to everything, I guess. But at least the energy that I felt was all very positive. So I hope that's the future for the industry. I hope it's all very positive.
Love that. Neil, did you had any? Oh, go ahead, Emily, go.
Oh yeah, I just want to say, like, I completely agree. Like, people seemed optimistic, but I had a very small selection of people that I was talking to who were doing in generally better. But I will say one thing I really do like that is more of a thing now than it was before is indies helping other indies. So for example, like funds like Outer Sloth, and like there's a couple bigger indie developers who are starting a publishing branch and giving more favorable deals. That was actually super uplifting to see. And it was cool talking to people who were in those programs.
I like that. Okay. And Neil, what about you from the conversations you had?
I feel like I keep being a downer.
No, you don't. It's the real. We're also asking to know what's the truth, right?
Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of indies for a reason. A lot of studios are closing down, laying off a lot of people to make room for various things and reasons. AI being one of them, but not exclusively the only one. I just think there's not a lot of space. You know, we're getting oversaturated with certain things. And not everybody wants to be indie. They just want to keep making games, so they're starting up their own studios, and most first game studios fail. So it's really concerning to me. I'm not saying people shouldn't be indies, but if people want to be AAA, they should have opportunity to, and I don't think that opportunity is long for existing. So I have a more, sour look at the industry when it comes to that, just because of how many layoffs there has been. And I'm just a little bit concerned. I'm hoping for the best. I hope everybody who, is working on these indie games, they make something great. They make a lot of money. They get to make another one. But I don't think that's realistic at some points.
And it's true that, with all the layoffs happening and things like that, it can be a bit frightening for people to get into the industry. And at the same time, the barrier of entry is smaller. So in a sense, you have a bit more, like you said, saturation. I guess discoverability becomes more important because you might be working on the game and no one knows about it since everybody is working on the game. But maybe that also pushes the quality up in a sense. Hopefully the taste of the audience remains intact and people navigate towards the games that are unique or a bit different. I did see a lot more indie this year, like we said earlier. That personally is a good signal because I believe that is also kind of like, in a sense, power to the people. Like we see less like studio doing the same game over and over again and trying something different. Usually the unique games comes from indie studio. The game that have something a little bit different than what you're used to come from people that are coming from, being a developer that is solo or a smaller team. So I hope to see more of that. And of course, we're all hopeful for the future. Although I agree with you, like toxic positivity doesn't bring us anywhere. Being cautious is important. It doesn't necessarily mean you're pessimistic. I think it's because you've seen so much before, you also have a sense of what's coming and you're being cautious, so that gives a signal of protection for everybody else. So I actually appreciate that we have this contrast in the conversation, so it's not just all smile and everything is perfect, because it's not. It's true, we've seen it. GDC is smaller this year, and we just hope that it becomes and continues to exist. So I actually appreciate the transparency.
But I also wanted to chime in on this conversation because I actually completely agree. Because even though I said that people are more optimistic, like I'm talking about my friends who are very successful. For example, like I gave a panel with Nick who did Peak. Obviously, he feels optimistic because he just made one of the biggest games this year. This industry chews people up and spits them out and expects them to get back up. Because even though I would say like I'm doing way better now than I've honestly ever done in my game development career, I have faced so many hardships as well. For example, like layoffs, I've been a part of those. Having my indie game that I worked on with my best friends for 2 years fail, and then I feel depression. I've been through that too. Like I lost my big, like, I had my big girl job, I guess. I used to work for Meta, and then I did the indie dev dream, and it didn't work out for me. And literally the only reason I was able to continue was that I had built up a social media following and eventually was able to make some money off that. But like, not everyone is an influencer. This is an extremely, I would say, unrealistic, but I was very privileged to experience that and be able to continue. And like, now, because of that, I was given a second chance, which I've been much more successful at. But this industry, it's so tough.
It is hard.
Like, literally, I feel like the only thing that I know about my future is that I will continue to fail. I do not know if I will succeed. I only know that I will continue to fail. And, GDC with a lot less people going this year, I do think is kind of a sign. And also, like, I don't mean this to be gatekeepy, but I feel like way too many people are trying to be game developers. And obviously, like, we all have this dream. I think everyone should, feel that they should go for it. But I just do feel like the amount of people trying to be game developers and the amount of opportunities available is so much less. And so it's extremely competitive and it's extremely harsh at times.
And it's important to say that. It's actually C-Strand on Twitch said, missed Chumbawamba quote, "I get knocked down, but I get up again." I believe that what you said is also very good to say to Emily, in the sense that you're failing forward, like you're accepting failure as part of the journey because it's something that will happen. And you learn in every time that you fail, and that it actually teaches you stuff so that you can keep fighting. Actually, I know that most people. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say just how it's interesting how everybody has different perspectives. Because, like, for example, for me here in Portugal, there really isn't a AAA industry in Portugal. So basically over here, when I started making games, and even now, I mean, things have grown quite a bit. So I think now there are a few studios. I mean, nothing on the level of like AAA or anything, but essentially when I started, definitely absolutely nothing, not even indies existed really. So for me, for my whole career, it's only ever been possible to be an indie over here. Like AAA was never an option. So for me, it's very interesting. It's kind of like looking from the outside in when I see about all these problems, because yeah, the games industry definitely has quite a lot of problems, a lot of layoffs, a lot of things. But from my tiny little corner where being indie is basically the only option, from that things are actually pretty nice, in the sense that when I started making games back in 2013, back then, for example, Steam required you need to know someone in order to get on Steam. All the tools were all very expensive, very unapproachable. Unity was the only one that was free. That's why I chose it. And yeah, so over the past few years, yeah, things have gotten a lot better to people like indies like myself and people who live in countries where the AAA industry has never quite existed. So I guess maybe that's a positive take on a negative thing, which is, layoffs are very bad. But I guess if you never had a AAA industry in your country, then technically there are no layoffs. So you can only be an indie. So I guess that's I don't know. It's just interesting to see different perspectives from different places, and how there are different opportunities in different places. Yeah.
And that's why I'm super happy we got also kind of a diverse cast today. Actually, maybe you all could go a round of tips you could share for someone that is maybe doubting themselves. They're not sure if they want to really go full time or at least dedicate more time to their indie journey. Because I know a lot of people also start building game while they work at a company with the hope that it gets successful, with the hope that maybe the wish list breaks. What would be a good tip that you could share with game developers in the beginning of their career?
For me, my advice is exactly what you just said, which is how I definitely recommend having a daytime job whilst you're doing game development on the side, just because, game development is inherently a very risky thing. It is definitely something where very few games find success. So jumping ahead into full-time indie, I would definitely not recommend that, just because, the odds of success are very low. So I definitely recommend trying to do it the safest way possible, just basically have a day job, then on the side, try to make your own games. And then, sure, if you eventually make a game and you get like, I don't know, 50,000 wish lists before release, then maybe that you have enough signals, you have enough success that you can actually make the jump to full-time. And then hopefully the game does find success and you can continue going from there. So I would definitely recommend in the beginning, take it slow, focus on learning, and don't do something so insanely risky. So trying to keep a day job and doing game development side, I think that's a great way to get started.
Great tip. What about you, Neil?
I really don't give people advice with game development stuff, just because my path has just been so wild and weird, and what did work for me wouldn't work for most people, and the thing that works for most people probably wouldn't work for me. But if I can give like just a general concept of advice, it would just be, expect nothing, have the lowest expectations possible. And if you're just making something for you that you enjoy, that you want to see in the world, you put it out in a way that, you say, hey, other people who enjoy the same things, hopefully this finds them. And if growth happens, cool. But if you always have like a good, reasonable set of expectations, then, there's nothing that you can kind of mess up about it.
I resonate a lot with that. I usually tend to go with life with absolutely zero expectations. So I get pleasantly surprised when things work well. And I never get disappointed because I didn't have expectation for the beginning. But also someone told me about seeing the game industry a little bit like the music industry. It's both arts. And so in a sense, there's a lot of people that want to be the top singer.
Look what happened to the music industry. That's crazy.
It's very different. And at the same time, it's kind of following the same path. But it still doesn't stop people with a dream to try to get a job at it. But hey, most singers, they have a full-time job on the side. They're trying to make ends meet, and it's it's a passion thing. You're trying to make something that you personally love, and you hope that other people might love it too. I think it's a beautiful tip you can give to others. What about you, Jason?
I agree with Emily. Everybody should just quit making games. There's too many game developers. Give up and go find something else to do. No, in reality, though, the one thing I would say for people that really want to get into the game industry, like if you're trying to get in, actually apply for jobs and start doing it constantly, but spend a lot more effort on your actual job applications. Like when you're trying to get in and work on a game, make sure that you've actually played the game, that you understand the game, that you're tailoring your resume and a cover letter towards the game and the project, that you understand kind of what it is that you're applying for and put in effort. I see a lot of people that just spam out 20, 50, 100 applications and then get zero response because they're putting in very minimal effort and just kind of spreading it wide. I'd say find the couple things that you're really interested in and put in a good amount of effort contacting people and finding out about the job and actually trying to get it instead of just doing the lazy, just LinkedIn apply hit a million times type thing. You find a lot more success that way. And I think that a lot of people feel like they can't get into the industry because they just do a really, really crappy job of actually applying and trying to get jobs.
That is a very good advice. We've used to do portfolio reviews with my team. And whenever I would give that one tip to every student is you want to have a letter, a cover letter. Most people don't do it, but even if it's not required or it's optional, do it, because it feels like you spend some time thinking about the job and you're just not, spamming every single company with the same resume. And also maybe do some variations of your resume depending on which job you're applying for. Like some companies might be looking at very specific things like education or past experiences versus others are more towards projects and what have you actually made. And depending where you apply, you might not need exactly the same format. And exactly like Jason just said, use the platform the way they are intended to. Like, sure, LinkedIn has a bunch of automation and clicks and little buttons, but there's nothing else than actually talking to human beings and reaching out. Keeping your profile up to date, like actually using LinkedIn and posting about the thing you're passionate about, or if you're on YouTube, post more videos on YouTube, just so that we can see that your profile is active, so that when the HR person is reaching out to you or trying to look into your work, they don't have to dig through decades or like years of content. Like, it's there for them. Like, facilitate the job of the person that's recruiting you will go a long way. So that would be my personal advice. What about you, Emily? What would be your tip for others?
I was actually going to agree with Neil, because the way I entered the industry, I think there's less than 5 people in the entire world who entered the industry the way I did. And it was also very much like, I tried this, I tried that, didn't work. And then I eventually landed my way in. So I actually think I would rather give advice about making games rather than entering the industry, because I don't know how to enter the industry even myself. And I think it's that what I realize about games that I really enjoy is that they oftentimes, instead of trying to make a game that appeals to everyone, they make a game that tells a very specific kind of story or a very specific kind of experience. But in doing that, it ends up having themes that are very universal. So I just want to give like an example, like Venba. Venba is a game about cooking in an Indian household. I've never experienced that, right? But by like telling such a specific story so truthfully, there's themes about like family and love and culture that I personally really enjoy. And there's other games that do that. I think another great one is like 1,000 Times Resist. And I'm trying to also do that with Elise World XD. So my game development tip is to tell your story truthfully, boldly. Don't try to make it perfect. Don't tell the perfect story. Tell your story. And in doing that, the themes of your game will resonate with more people than making a game that you think would mildly appeal to everyone.
Well said. Authenticity is huge too, because people can see when you're bullshitting versus when you're actually yourself and honest. And if you're trying to gather to, I think it's the people behind Elden Ring that said that we're not trying to make a game for everyone, because if you make a game for everyone, you're making a game for no one. If you do something very niche, you might find yourself finding your tribe. I think that's beautiful advice. So we're coming to the end of this amazing session. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for participating and being here and being honest and sharing your tips and also your experience at GDC. This was really mostly for the community that couldn't attend, so that they have an idea of what happened there. And for those that join us very late, these are all of the tags. So you get Emily, Hugo, Jason, and Neil. Please make sure that you follow their work. They are on every single platform that's known. We're putting it in the description also at the end of this video that you can watch on YouTube. And do you guys have any last minute words, something you want to share with the crowd before we wrap up?
If I can just say really, really quickly, part of my hesitation towards a lot of the general giant swath of indie developers coming in is because we're all pulling from the same pool. We're competing with, the triple A's and all those things. People only play about 2 or 3 games a year if they're lucky. So if you want to change that, just play more indie games. Like, check out the games that were listed. Check out the games that we brought up today. Give them even a wish list helps if you can't buy them. But when they go on sale, just pick them up. You're supporting small studios. You're keeping this train going.
Very well said. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I just want to tell people to go to meetups, man. If you can't go to GDC, you can't go to the big events, go to the local stuff. I know Unity is supporting a bunch of meetups, lots of other game developer meetups out there. So just find stuff in your area, go to them, attend in person and talk to people. It's really helpful. And especially if you want to get into the industry, it would be probably the easiest and biggest thing you can do. Just go meet people in real life that are in the industry, and they will have job openings.
Yeah, well said. We have a page on our website with the Events Hub where you can go check out our future events, and also on meetup.com. Any city that has a local Unity group can actually create their own meetup. So even if your city doesn't have one, maybe be the one to start one. You just need a second person and you have a group. What about you, Hugo? Any last word?
Sure. I mean, I guess, like I was saying a while ago, I guess I'm a bit more on the positive side, since I focus on indies and tools and how it's awesome how the tools have never been easier to make games. So I guess I'm very positive about that. So I'm a big fan of helping people starting to make their own games. And yeah, like I was saying a while ago, it doesn't have to be just for financial success, because yeah, that part is very, very difficult. But making games just as a hobby, just as something to do for fun, I think that's awesome. So yeah, if someone wants to learn how to make games as a hobby just for fun, or eventually turn into a career, yeah, I would say definitely go for it. The tools have never been easier. Education is so easy to find on YouTube and everywhere. So yeah, if that's part of your goal, I would definitely recommend. Yeah.
Hugo, that is a beautiful reminder, because I think in this day and age, also everybody's trying to start a side business, but at the end of the day, it is something that's also fun, and you can definitely make games just for fun. That's my side. I don't try to make money out of my games. If one of them becomes successful, that's great. But for me, it's more so an outlet to express myself, and I think it's really cool to also just take it for what it is. So thanks for saying that. Emily, last few words.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like one thing that we game developers focus so much on is the outcome of our actions. So for example, like making a lot of money, and that is very important. I do want to say, like, being able to have the resources to make a second game, a third game is very important. But I really do feel like so much of the energy is on like what happens after launch. And I think like one thing I'm trying to instill in myself is to also enjoy the making, because, you know, it's not just about producing a cool game, it's about my journey and my learnings while making it too. And also Wishlist Lily's World XD.
Love that. People will put it in the description again. If you watch the VOD on YouTube, it's just right there. Thank you so much, friends. Really appreciated your time today. And I hope that we can see you again next year at GDC if you attend again. And if not, we'll see you again on this channel for sure. It was really nice to hear about your stories, hear about your own perspective on things. And let's see a year from now if that has shifted or if it's exactly the same. I'm always interested in your opinions. So thank you so much, people in the chat again. Please make sure you follow all of those great indie creators and some of them that are not so much indie anymore. And I appreciate your time. We have another live stream next Thursday, still the same rendezvous. So remember, it's at 12 p.m. EST, Eastern Time Zone. And next week is going to be with Fretless. We're going to talk about their music system with their amazing game. So it's a gamer spotlight. So if you're interested, please join us again on YouTube and Twitch next Thursday, 12 p.m. ET. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you so much for your time.